Very good afternoon, everybody.
This is the fourth day of the presentations, wherein semester one students are making presentations on the literatures written between Chaucer and Victorian era. Today, on the fourth day, students are going to make presentations on Victorian literature. Let us have a list of presenters and their topics. So today is this is the evening session. On the fourth day, we will have Akshay making the first presentation on HARDI, different from his contemporaries. Chhaya might come late, so she will give it afterwards. Darshan will make it on Bridehead, Thomas Hardy's Unconventional Heroine. JAGRUTI will be on Hard Times and Childhood. I think Hard Times is the name of the text, so put it in single inverted comma. Don't forget this basic mechanics of writing. Kavitas will be on portraying social classes, difference through characters, classes differences through characters. Rahul is on the role of education in hard times. Akash will make it on between factories and dreams, a comparative exploration of hard times and death of a salesman. BHUMIBAs will be on exploring the portrayal of women in hard times and Jude the Obscure. DHATRIs will be on nature in hard times, an ecocritical overview. HARDIs will be on tamasha and hard times, a mirror of society. Both the text should be in single inverted comma and mirror should be capital M. I hope tomorrow, last day, we don't have to give this advices. Right from the first day, we are giving this advices, and in all the three sessions, in the morning also, in afternoon also, in the evening also, there are 2-3 students who are still constantly making the mistakes in writing one single sentence. So that we have to see that how we are not able to write even one correct statement. If we are writing hundred of sentences in exam, what kind of things we might be writing? અને આ રીતે એ પેપર જોવામાં આવે તો આપણને માઇનસમાં કેટલા બધા માર્ક્સ આવે, પ્લસમાં તો ઝીરો નહીં, પણ આ રીતે પેપર જોવામાં આવે તો આપણે માઇનસમાં કેટલા બધા માર્ક્સ આપણને આવે, ઢગલો એક માર્ક્સ માઇનસમાં આપણી પાસે હોય. So mechanics of writing, simple things which we have to be careful of when we write, whether handwritten or typed words. And finally, Herald's presentation will be on fact versus fancy in hard times. Okay, so let us start first with Akshay. If Chhaya is absent, then be careful in asking questions. You have to skip one person when you ask questions. Akshay will be asked by HARDI and Herald. Okay, yes, so Akshay, you can start the presentation.
By the time he gets ready, I'm muting your mic from here.
On the last day, DHATRI has submitted very late. After the afternoon session has submitted the marks. So be careful that these reminders we don't want to give again and again. These are PG students. And even in the morning one, we had this Jadhav Kinjal. She submitted after the afternoon students started giving. So the data on the spreadsheet get distorted. To find the people becomes a little bit hectic and it is wastage of time. We use technology so that our time is saved and we can get optimum result. But if you don't work properly with technology, then you multiply somebody else's work. બીજાનું કામ બેવડાઈ જાય. જેને ચેક કરવાનું હોય એમનો નિરર્થક સમય આમાં બગડતો જાય. જો તમારે ખાલી એટલી જ કાળજી રાખવાની છે કે સેશન પૂરું થયું, 5 મિનિટમાં માર્ક્સ આપી દેવાના છે, અડધી કલાકમાં ટાઈમ સ્ટેમ્પ મૂકી દેવાનું છે, 2 જ કામ છે. મારે 3 સેશન ના જોવાના હોય બધાના, all the students, morning, afternoon and evening. You have to see only your session time. So if one person also makes mistake, then also the work multiplies and unnecessary wastage of time keeps on happening. So this and to give again and again reminder in the group is also not good. ગ્રુપમાં એટલે આપીએ કે બીજા પણ શીખે કોઈની ભૂલમાંથી, નકર વ્યક્તિગત પણ કહી શકાય, પણ એટલા માટે કે બીજા લોકો પણ શીખી લે કે જો આની ભૂલ થઈ તો એ પછી બીજે દિવસે ભૂલ કરે છે, એ વાંચ્યું હોય તો પણ એમાં મેસેજમાં કે આપણે ભૂલ કરી છે તો એ પાછા એ જ ભૂલ બીજા લોકો કરે. એટલે 5 દિવસની અંદર 35 વિદ્યાર્થી હોય તો જુદા જુદા વિદ્યાર્થી ભૂલ કરતા રહે અને તમારે એકની એક વાત રિપીટ કરતી રહેવી પડે. યુ કીપ ઓન રિપીટિંગ ધ સેમ થિંગ all 5 days and maybe again in semester 2 also, then in semester 3 also, then in semester 4 also. કોઈ નમૂના રહી જ જાય કે જેને ટકોર કરવી જ પડે, એને કેવું જ પડે કે જો હજી આ બાકી રહી જાય છે. એટલે પછી આપણે આમ થાકીને કહીએ કે આ આર્ટ્સના વિદ્યાર્થીને કોણ નોકરીમાં રાખે. જો આમ વારંવાર ટોકવા પડે નાની નાની બાબતોમાં પણ એ ન સમજે તો who will give the work? અને એક્સપ્લોઇટેશન થશે જ, ઓછા પગારે લોકો રાખશે, પૂરો પગાર નહીં આપે અને આપણે ગર્વથી, હિંમતથી, નીતિમત્તાથી ઊંચો પગાર માગી પણ ન શકીએ, કારણ કે આપણને ખબર છે કે આપણું કામ કેટલું પોલું હોય છે. એટલા માટે આપણે ઘણી વખત કોમેન્ટ કરતા હોય કે વાય ધ વેલ્યુ ઓફ આર્ટ્સ ઇઝ વેરી લો, એન્ડ ધેટ ઇઝ અવર ચેલેન્જ ઓલ્સો કે આવી આપણી છાપ ન રહેવી જોઈએ સમાજમાં. એ સુધરે ક્યારે? જયારે આપણું કામ સુધરે ત્યારે, સામૂહિક રીતે બધા જ આર્ટ્સના વિદ્યાર્થીઓ ખંતથી, મહેનતથી, કોઈ ભૂલચૂક વગર કામ કરે ત્યારે સમાજમાં એક એવી છાપ થાય કે ના, યુ કેન રિલાય ઓન ધીસ પીપલ. એમાં કોઈ વાંધો નથી, એક વખત કહેશો એટલે સમજી જશે, બીજી વખત ટકોર નહીં કરવી પડે. પણ ત્યાં સુધી પહોંચવા માટે આપણે બહુ મહેનત કરવાની છે. સો લેટ અસ સી કે કાલના દિવસમાં કોઈને યાદ કરાવવું પડે કે નહીં, કે પછી સેમેસ્ટર 2 માં આપણે જોશું, કારણ કે આ 5 દિવસ સિવાય બધા તો ક્યારેય મારા હાથમાં ભેગા નહીં આવે. અડધો ક્લાસ તો બહાર જ હોય, એબસન્ટ જ હોય. એટલે જેને કહેવાનું હોય, જેનાથી ભૂલ વારંવાર થતી હોય તો આ દિવસોમાં જ હાથમાં આવે. આ 5 દિવસ જ હોય સેમેસ્ટરમાં કે જેમાં એ હાથમાં આવે, અને બાકી પછી રિટર્ન પરીક્ષા હોય ત્યારે. અધરવાઇઝ it is very difficult to catch everybody and tell them that this all things we want to improve as our behavioral patterns. Okay, let us start this.
This is Akshay NIMBARK. Today I am dealing with this topic of presentation, like how HARDI different from his contemporaries. Let's start. This is my personal information, table of content. Thomas Hardy was a great novelist, poet, and short story writer. His time period was 1814 to 1928. So, apprenticeship of architect. Hardy was apprenticed to a local architect of the age of 16 and spent much his time designing and restoring building. This background information many of his later works. Rural roots. Hardy was born and raised in the rural country of Dorset, where he developed a deep love for the countryside and its people. His experience growing up in this setting also played key role in shaping his work. Education and early writing of Thomas Hardy. After completing his architectural apprenticeship, Hardy moved to London, where he began to establish himself as a writer. His early works drew upon his personal experiences and explored themes such as love, loss, and social injustice. Let's see introduction to Hardy's literary work. The novels, here are some list of novels Hardy written, like Taste of the Dew Urbervilles, Far from the Madding Crowd, Jude the Obscure, The Mayor of Casterbridge, and many more. Poetry. So Hardy was also prolific and highly regarded poet. His work drew upon his deep love for the natural world and his deep awareness of the human condition. Short story. Throughout his career, Hardy published a number of groundbreaking short stories that explore themes such as love, morality, and human relationship. If we see Hardy's poetry, so Hardy did many grateful poetry like the man he killed, and if we see his short story, the my personally favorite short story of Hardy is the Elisha's Diary. Comparison with contemporary writers, the Brown Sister. The Brown Sister was also contemporary writers of Thomas Hardy. While both Hardy and Brown sisters explored themes such as love, class, and supernatural, Hardy's work was more grounded in realism and harsh realities of rural life. Charles Dickens was also his contemporary. Like Dickens, Hardy was deeply concerned with issues of social justice and worked tirelessly to address the plight of working class. However, Hardy was more interested in exploring this issue through complex characters and intricate relationships. George Eliot, Hardy and Eliot shared a deep appreciation for natural worlds and keen awareness of the human condition. However, while Eliot's work was more focused on the psychological and philosophical aspects of life, Hardy was more interested in exploring the fundamental truth of the human experiences. Let's see themes and literary style in Hardy's novel writing. The natural world. The Hardy used a major theme as an imaginary natural world. Hardy's novels are filled with vivid descriptions of the landscape and the natural worlds. Whenever he writing about rolling hills, black moors, and raging storms, Hardy always manages to capture the power and beauty of nature, human relationship. Hardy's work characterized by deep understanding of human relationships and the complex emotions that underlie them, from tragic love affairs to bitter family conflict. Hardy's novel explore the full range of human experience. The past, Hardy was deeply interested in the history and the way in which it shapes our life. His novel often exploring the tensions between past and present, and the ways in which the past continues to influence the present. Reception and controversy surround Hardy's work. So critical acclaims. Despite the controversy that surrounding his work, Hardy was widely regarded as one of the greatest writers of his time. His deep understanding of the human experience and his willingness to tackle difficult and controversial themes earned him devoted following amongst readers and critics alike. Censorship and public outrage. Many of Hardy's work were subjected to censorship and public outrage due to their frank treatment and sexuality and their critical examination of the social religious convention of his time. Legacy. So despite the challenges he faced during his lifetime, Hardy's work has endured, and his influence can be seen in the work of countless writers who have followed in his footsteps. Legacy and influence of Thomas Hardy while writing, inspiration to later writers. So, how Hardy influenced the literature and later writers. Hardy work has served as a source of inspiration and countless writers who have followed in his footsteps, including writers such as D.H. Lawrence and James Joyce. Critical reprisal. In recent years, there has been a renewed interest in Hardy's work, and many critics have sought to reprise his contribution to the literary canon. Continued relevance. The themes that Hardy explored in his novel including love, loss, and the complexity of human relationships, continue resonate with leaders and remains as relevant today as they were during Hardy's lifetime. So, conclusion in nutshell, Thomas Hardy divergence from his contemporary in themes, writing styles, and legacy remains profound aspect. His portrayal of human fate, social issues, and the struggles against societal norms set him apart. His departure from conventional Victorian storytelling creates a legacy defined by thought-provoking narratives, marking him as a trailblazer in literature. There are my some references. Thank you. If you have any question, you can ask me.
So, Akshay, according to you, among Hardy's contemporary, which one do you consider parallel to him?
According to me, Hardy's parallel was like T.S. Eliot. They both are authentic in doing critics, and they both were not influenced by their contemporary rulers. Both are not admiring. Both were not admiring them also. So that's it. According to me, parallel is T.S. Eliot.
So, Akshay, what differences do you find between Hardy's and Elliott's criticism?
So Hardy and Eliot was a contemporary. They both do critics as very well, and if we see difference, then Hardy's critics tone was soft, but Eliot used a sharp tone for doing critic. Uh, uh, Hardy's major focus on critics in societal problems, like how people face different types of various problems in society, and Eliot focus on modernization, like how poetry and literature structure. That's it. Thank you.
A very good afternoon, everyone. Myself, Darshan, and I am here with the presentation Sue Bridehead, Thomas Hardy's Unconventional Heroine. This is my self introduction. These are the points to ponder. And now, overview. So Thomas Hardy was an renowned English novelist and poet known for his work set in rural England. Jude the Obscure, Jude the Obscure is one of his last and most controversial novel published in 1895. The novel explores the theme of societal constraints, education, marriage, and plight of individual striving for a better life. Now, Sue Bridehead. Sue Bridehead is, we all are aware about, she is a central character in the Jude the Obscure. She is a complex and independent woman who challenges societal norms and expectation. Sue's character grapples with issue of morality, love, and her own unconventional desires. Her relationship with protagonist Jude Foley plays a significant role in the narrative and is a focal point of the story's exploration of personal and societal struggles. Uh, Now, character of Sue Bridehead. So she is a very rare and unique character according to Victorian era. So she is a complex personality and multifaceted traits. She is fiercely independent and values her autonomy. She is deviates from societal norms and expectations. She is highly educated and possesses a keen intellect. She struggles with the profound emotional conflict. She questions the traditional view on love, morality, and religion. In and she symbolized rebellion against Victorian societal constraints. So she is very rare and Victorian woman like Sue Bridehead is very rare and unique in the Victorian time. And although she is a hypothetical character, but Hardy was ahead of his time, and so are their characters. Now, Sue Bridehead, a breaking barriers. Sue is a feminist figure ahead of her time, emphasizing her intellectual independence and desire for education. She is the initial marriage to Philistine is more better of a duty than love, but she eventually seeks an annulment, asserting her independence and her right to choose her own partner. Shu's questions of traditional religious and moral values reflects her desire for personal autonomy in determining her beliefs and values. She is resistance to having children, a duty expected of women in that era, underscore her unwillingness to conform to societal norms. Shu's emotional independence is evident in her willingness to openly discuss her feelings and her aversion to being owned or controlled by anyone, even Jude. Shoes rejects traditional gender roles and challenges the notion that women should solely be caregiver and homemakers. Shoes' character serves as a vehicle for Thomas Hardy's to critique the patriarchal setting of the time and the restriction placed on women. Sue can be seen as a symbol of early feminism, advocating for the woman's right, independence, and self-determination. So, Bridehead's consequences of tragedy and struggle. So, we are all aware that we are made up of our conditioning and the situation that we have faced. In the novel, character of Sue Bridehead, we can find that throughout the novel, as we go further, it evolves the character of Sue Bridehead because of the situation and the condition she gets. And as we see the life story of her, it is very traumatic. As we see, she orphaned and alone after the loss of her family. She enters an unhappy marriage out of duty. She grapples with the religious and moral confusion. She challenges controversial views on marriage. She resists the societal pressure to become a mother. She faces a social isolation and alienation and endures the loss of her children. She experiences complex romantic relationship, and she struggles with the moral and existential dilemmas. So, as the trauma in her life, we can see she is evolving. At the end, uh, she was questioning her own faith, her own character, and it completely changed because of the problem and suffering that happened in her life. So, in conclusion, Sue Bridehead's life in Jude the Obscure is a narrative of tragedy and struggles, And through her struggles, and Sue becomes a symbol of human spirit, resilience, and the timeless quest for autonomy and love, making her compelling and enduring figure in the world of literature. These are my references. Now you can ask me your questions.
Darshan, my question is for you that how does Shoe Bridehead's internal conflict mirror the societal challenges and shifts in Victorian England?
So Sue Bridehead is ahead of his time, ahead of her time, and the conflict is that she does not allow anyone to control his autonomy. And in the era of Victorian, we are all aware about the situation of women's. So his internal conflict, we see that she does not allow the marriage with Philistine, and she does not allow the society to pressure on her. So that would be it.
So Darshan, do you think that she was a feminist even after the decision she took in the end?
Yes, the decision that she took at the end, as I mentioned in the presentation, the condition and the situation and the suffering she coming from, it is uh, it is possibly everyone can do that. It would be very harsh on her, and it completely changed the I think feminist view of her, I guess. Thank you very much.
Hello everyone, I am JAGRUTI and today I am presenting the topic Hard Times in Childhood. This is the information about my topic, content that I will explain, discuss. A brief introduction about the author Charles Dickens. Charles Dickens, in full name Charles John Huffam Dickens, born on February 7th, 1812 in England and died on June 9th, 1870, near Kent. He is English novelist, generally considered as the greatest of the Victorian era. His many volumes include such as A Christmas Carol, David Copperfield, Hard Times, Great Expectations, and Our Mutual Friends. Brief introductions about the novel. Louisa and Tom have been harshly raised by their father, Tom's grade-grind, an educator, to know nothing but the most factual, pragmatic information. Their lives are devoid of beauty, culture, imagination, and little empathy for others. Louisa marries Bonderby, a vulgar banker and owner. She eventually leaves her husband and returns to her father's house, and Tom robs his brother-in-law's bank. At the end of the novel, their father realized that the manner in which he raised his children ruined her lives. Hard times and childhood. Three persons' childhood is seen here: Louisa, Tom, and Sissy. Now the novel starts with the voice of a headmaster, Thomas Gradgrind, where he says, "Now what I want is facts. Teach those boys and girls nothing but the facts." In Hard Times, Charles Dickens mentioned Gradgrind as a man of realities, a man of facts and calculations, a man of proceeds upon the principle that two and two are four, and nothing over. Thomas Gradgrind, who is not to be talked into allowing for anything over, he was keeping with the rules and a pair of scales and the multiplication table always in his pocket. Then he was ready to measure any parcel of human nature and tell exactly what it comes to. The lesson and experience of childhood shape those characters later in life. Louisa's imbalanced childhood. For Louisa, the emphasis on reason and the rejection of imagination and emotion in her childhood lead her to an unbalanced adulthood. Louisa is a woman whose life has been broken by the absence of a childhood within it because she has never known those emotions of joy and wonder that create a connection between one's past and present. She doesn't know that what she feels. She is, in other words, the artist concerned with the life force of imagination. Her development, however, stops at the intellectual cognizance of her life in, 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 inadequacies for her emotional life is destroyed by the absence of a childhood. Her own feelings make her passive and indifferent, leading her into a loveless marriage and which does not come to pass. When she faced with emotions, she has no idea how to handle them. She becomes unconscious. As a result, her life comes apart. Tom's emotionless childhood. For Tom, the emphasis on reason in his childhood destitute him to the pleasure of childhood. Tom's childhood turns him into a machine without imagination, emotions, and moral values. He says, "I am sick of my life. I hate it altogether, and I hate everybody except you." When Tom becomes an adult, he is known for his idleness at work, debts at selfishness, known by exploring his sister and her marriage to get rid of her father's control. His attempts to capture the youth he feels he must lead to irresponsibility, entitlement, and other disreputable activities. In short, Tom's lack of a balanced childhood prevents him from growing into a balanced, responsible adult. Perfect imagination, the reality based childhood of Sissy. Sissy Jupe experiences a more balanced childhood and grow up accordingly. She is obviously tied to the circus, to entertainment, to the life of imagination, but she is also clearly one of the most realistic characters in the novel. She spends her first 7 years in the warm environment of the circus, well loved by her father and the other performers. She spends the second half of her childhood is studying facts and reasons in the facts of being abandoned by her father and then being forced to learn the Great Green's philosophy. In a way, she is similar to another one of the Dickens' favorite character type, the perfect young woman who selflessly takes care of other people. So, Sissy Jupe is a messenger from the land of imagination, creativity, and selfless actions. Charles Dickens recollect childhood memories with the Hard Times novel. Somewhere we can see lost childhood of Dickens' Hard Times. He was a second born of 8 children. At the age of 12, he was worked with working class in factory. that handle blacking or shoe polish. He was record his own lost childhood in the fragmentary autobiography which he wrote for Forrester. He saying himself that no words can express the secret agony of my soul, the deep remembrance of the senses I had of being utterly neglected and hopeless, of the shame I felt in my position. This is the reference of my topic. If there are anyone questions, feel to ask me.
So Jagruti, my question is in what ways does hard times critique the concept of fact and its impact on children?
The novel Hard Times critic the idea of only facts can educate and shapes a children's life, and it is also shows that focusing only on facts, facts is only on facts, education, and only on facts, focusing on only on education. Okay, next question.
Jagruti, how does C.C. Jupe's character contrasts with that of the other children in the novel?
Cici Jupe is a circus children, and she is imaginative and emotionally expressive, showcasing the importance of those qualities in childhood. And she is more imaginative, compassionate than Great King's children. Thank you.
Hello everyone, I am KAVITA CHAUHAN and today I am dealing with the topic portraying social classes differences through the characters. My personal information. It's point to ponder. Let's start with introduction. The class division in British society during the Victorian period take line Charles Dickens novel Hard Time as a case study. It come to show the differences and the inequality between the three social classes which existed in that period: the upper class, the middle class, and lower classes. Also, it aimed to show that Hard Time portray the reality of social injustice in the Britain during the Victorian era. About the author, Charles Dickens. Charles Dickens, in full, Charles John Ephraim Dickens, born February 7th, 1812, Portsmouth, Hampshire, England, died June 9, 1817, GOHIL near Chatham, Kent. English novelist, journalist, generally considered the greatest of the Victorian era. His many volumes include such work as Christmas Carol, David Copperfield, Black House, Our Tale of Two Cities, Great Expectations, and Our Mutual Friends. Hard Time about the novel. Hard Time, novel by the Charles Dickens, published in serial form as a Hard Time for this time. In the in the periodical Household Words from April to August 1854, and in the book from later the same year. The novel the novel is a bitter indictment of the industrialization with dehumanization effect on the workers and communities in the mid 19th century England, portraying social classes differences through the characters. Three classes was differences: upper class, middle class, and lower class. Lower class was divided in two parts: working class and lower class. Now, first is the upper class. Upper class is a group of the owner of the natural resources and factories. Their power comes from the employ of laborers and the wealth. This group control the political power of the country. The upper class in the society represented by the novel Hard Time, the Harthouse. The main character, Mr. James Harthouse, is a representative of this class. Mr. James Harthouse is a rich man. An aristocratic member of the society visit the Cocktown house town because he was come bored with life. He looked for something new. Mr. Harthouse bored because he was from the rich family, and 10 hours of the work to feed oneself was not him concern or a part of his regime. There is no much description of the living condition in the upper class family. The middle class. During the second half of the 18th century in Britain, there had been a small class of merchant traders and small farmers. This small class was the middle class, and it had increased with the rise of industrialists and factory owners. Then, in the 19th century grew quickly. In Hard Time novel, the Mr. Joseph Bounderbury is representative of the middle class and other characters. He is a rich man, a banker, merchant, and manufacturer. Mr. Bounderbury lead everybody to believe that he worked hard to reach the position of the wealthy man and a factory owner, and claim that each member from the middle class has worked very hard and get on being to wealth. Third is a working class or lower. Two sections: the working class laborers, noise, and the poor. And Mr. Bounderbury was also know about the lower class people to say is hands. It contained men, women, and children perform many types of labors and including factory work, seamstress, and chimney sweeper and milling and other jobs. Mr. Bagpool is the representative of the working class, a worker in Bounderbury's factory and living hard life with his drunk wife. People called him Old Stephen, although he is a 40-year of age. Its conclusion: author reflect realistic through characters, settings, or other aspect of the literary text lead to the conclusion. That Dickens try to picture the real life by representing the thoughts, feelings, and way of the living of characters from the variety of social classes. Thus, the literary text Hard Time reflect the class division and political event from the Victorian society. It's my references, and thank you. Now, if you have any question, you will ask.
Kavita, my question is, in what ways does Hard Times call attention to the moral and ethical dimensions of the social class?
hard time in 19th century, and the moral ethical dynamic of the social classes is the class was divided in three parts, and uh, upper class and middle class and lower class. The not equality in the class, in the three class are a different rule. It's like upper class rule on the middle class and lower class. So lower class was is like dumb, and he was not ethical the dynamic of the social classes. Next.
So, Kavita, my question is, what privileges or disadvantages are associated with the character's social class in hard time?
Yes, I am divided in the privilege and disadvantage of the is a class. Privilege belong to the upper class. Is like economic security, and economic security or education and social condition and morality. Economic condition is like upper class people have a more economic and money, and he was live like freely and restful life, enjoy life, and more education have a upper class family and people, they have give more education and social power. The upper class people have money and social power in the political and uh, disadvantages associated with lower class family, and lower class have a economic hardship. They have a economic condition is poor, and they are not purchasing everything and living life, because uh, uh, Mr. Backpool was a best example of the lower caste family. He have no money, and he was take divorce his wife, but he was not money, so is economic condition, and education is and limited and poor living condition in the her life, and no social momentary, and middle class was like a mid, no, not he was not, they people are not upper than upper class, and he was more rich than lower class. That's I divided it. So thank you, have a nice day.
you see this in this group, everybody has submitted their work in Google Classroom. In morning and afternoon today, we had 8 students each whose some work was pending in Google Classroom. Maximum was Shivangi, 18 unsubmitted work, and Vishwa, 10 unsubmitted works. Google Classroom.
So good evening, everyone. My name is Rahul Desai, and today I have present my presentation on the topic of the role of education in hard times. Here the self introduction of me. Here indexed. Let's start with the first topic about Charles Dickens. Charles Dickens was an English novelist and social critic also. Charles Dickens was the great novelist in the Victorian era. Charles Dickens was known for his satiric style of writing, and his including style of humor in kind of works of art. This book surveys English society satires the social and economical conditions of the era. Here are the most famous works of Charles Dickens: The Pickwick Papers, Oliver Twist, Nicholas Nickleby, A Tale of Two Cities, and Great Expectations. Now let's see Thomas Gradgreen's philosophy of education. Thomas Gradgreen was not believe in imaginative, feeling, and emotional education in hard times. Thomas believes that education should focus on the practical facts, knowledge, and utility. He is a strong advocate of utilitarianism. He has strict rejection of emotional, feeling, and imaginative or fanciful. Gradgreen's education system is mechanical in nature, treating students as empty vessel to be filled with facts. He believes only facts in education, not creativity, not imagination, and any kind of. He believes in gradual, incremental process, passion, and hard work. Yes, he also believes in hard work in any kind of works of art. Mr. Gradgreen tells Mr. M. Chocomchild to teach student only facts. As the second character of this hard time, Mr. M. Chocomchild is also believe in facts, hard time, and not believing creativity, new idea, new assumptions, and any kind of things. Creativity in education. Creativity, it includes a dichotomy between authoritarian and authoritative teaching and the relevance of creativity within these two perspectives of teaching. Not to set to philosophies in education. Philosophies, sometimes philosophies doesn't work in education. Mr. Gradgreen's a famous example in British literature is taken as a model of authoritarian teaching. That the authoritative teaching is open to creativity in comparison to authoritarian teaching. Creativity extends the sense by getting further knowledge. Creativity explore the knowledge and many kinds of ideas, thoughts. One of the most famous quote by Dickens: "Now what I want is fact. Teach these boys and girls nothing but facts. But facts alone are wanted in life. Plant nothing else and root out everything else. You can only from the minds of reasoning animals upon facts. Nothing else will ever be of any service to them." Utilitarianism and the education system in hard times. Education is viewed as a primary agent which is a means to impact knowledge, value, and norms to the people. Higher educational agencies in India play a vital role in promoting quality education across various domains. quality of education. What is the quality of education? Quality of education, it's explore the more thoughts, explore the things, explore the talent, explore the many various art in our human life. Charles Dickens' phenomenal work Hard Times, which appeared during Victorian times, is also a reflection on the education system and the harmful effect of utilitarian principle. Now, creative alternatives. Slurry's circus. Slurry's circus is a symbol of creativity, imagination, and develop your personal identity. Develop your personal identity, personal talent, and in many ways. CC Jupe's informal education. CC Jupe able to create an education on creativity and explore the thoughts in her perspective. Rachel's moral education. Education based on moral values and compassion. Stephen Blackpool's life experience. Stephen Blackpool also believe in hard work and creative things in education. Bitzer's self-interest education. Limitation of such an approach. Bitzer's his own thoughts in various questions and various points. Like Bitzer give his own thoughts in definition of horse. Cocktown's environment and its lesson. Alternatives classroom. Louisa Gradgreen's. Louisa is an example of a student who has suffered from her father's rigid educational philosophy. Because Louisa is a daughter of Thomas Gradgreen, and she follows all the instruction given by his father, and he always learn about the facts, not the outer world. Now let's conclude our presentation. In the novel Hard Times, we can clearly identify the importance of education. What is the education? Education is play a very important role in our life. Thomas Gradgreen gave his all efforts to the providing good education to the people. Charles Dickens wrote a very interesting novel in his time, and this Hard Time novel spread a good concept of education, good concept of knowledge. This is citation, and thank you. Now you ask me question.
Rahul, my question is, how does Louisa Gartreid's education affect her personal development and choice in hard time?
Yes, definitely. Louisa Gradgreen, as I said, Louisa Gradgreen, daughter of Thomas Gradgreen. Thomas Gradgreen teaches only facts. So that's why the education affect her personal life, personal development. Like she has a lack of emotion, lack of feeling, lack of imagination, lack of thoughts, and also she has not she cannot able to take decision in any such kind of situation, and she also face difficulties in various situation and many kind of things.
My question is, what is the significance of the circus in education in hard times?
Circus is a very important symbol of this novel. In this novel Hard Times, circle is a representation of the imagination and imagination, emotion, rigid conflict between the Coketown situation, Coketown place, village situation, and contemporary situation. In the circus, we can see the education about the creativity, humanity, art, and imagination, like that in this novel Hard Times. That's why circus is a significance in the novel Hard Times. Now here I conclude my presentation. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. I am Akash, and today we will discuss the topic between factories and dreams, a comparative exploration of hard times and death of a salesman. First, we will see the brief introduction about both the works. Charles Dickens' The Condition of England novel is published in 1854 in the serial form, and the novel is a bitter satire on the industrialization and the dehumanizing effect on the society. And story follows the life event of Thomas Gradbrand and Josiah Bounderby. On the other hand, we have That of a Salesman is a play written by Arthur Miller and published in 1949. And it had become most performed and adapted play in the American theatrical history. Through the main characters, here Miller tries to examine the myth of American dream and the shallow promise that it provides. Then we see historical context. By the mid-19th century, the industrialization started to growing in the England, and relation between master and workers had been difficult since the beginning of industrialization. The historical American dream is a promise of land of freedom with opportunity and equality for all. These dreams need no challenge, only fulfillment. And the premises of the dream was to courage and hard work, but it has too changed after the First World War. Industrial society in the hard times. Coketown is an embodiment of the industrial society, and it is a town full of machinery and tall chimneys, and out of which interminable serpents of smoke trail themselves ever and ever. The workers in the factory generically called the hands, as if they don't have a heart and feelings and all. They are just there for workings. And these hardships are portrayed in the character of the Stephen Blackpool, and Dickens referred him as an old Stephen, a rather stooping man because of working overload in the factories. The American Dream and Death of a Salesman. James Truslow Adams quotes that dream of a land in which life should be better and richer and fuller for everyone. Willy Loman, a traveling salesman desperate to achieve the American dream, which he always aspired. Instead of the idea of hard work and courage, he believes in the salesmanship, which implies a certain element of fraud. Uh, First, we have to see the character analysis of Thomas Gradgrind, because he is the embodiment of the dehumanizing impact of industrialization in the human on the human society. He is a sincere, eminently practical guy, and who believes in the philosophy of hard facts. And he is a creature of mere facts and no sentiments. His speech mirrors his personality, that we can see in the incidents of the Cecilia Jupe when he called her Cecilia Jupe by the full name, not the Cici. And he also undergoes a deep change of personality as well at the later stage of the novel, and his word expresses sentiments and feeling at the end. Willy Loman it has a adherence of the cult of personality, and he believes he also governs by the philosophy of being well liked and more popular to achieve the American dream. Willy's failure to achieve material success stems from his own choices. In both the works, we can see both the characters, both the main protagonists are governed by the certain philosophy. In Willy Loman is governed by the philosophy of being well liked and being popular to achieve the American dream. On the other hand, we can see the Thomas Gradgrind is governed by the philosophy of the hard facts, role of education in hard times. Gradgrind and Chokumchild are voicing their educational philosophy, and that is devoid of imagination. And as a result, Tom robs the bank, and the Louisa, following his mind, not her heart, was stuck in the unhappy marriage with Barnaby, twice her age. Willy's teachings to his son. Willy often acts like a pal or a friend to Biff and Happy, and encourages their misdeeds, such as when Biff fails the math test, and when he steals the school football. He appreciates these deeds. Family dynamics is one of the focal point in both the works. The family dynamics operates in a Gradgrind family in a very suffocating and a rigid way. Louisa is her father's favorite child and the proud of his heart. Because of the misfortune of the Louisa and the Tom, we can see the deep change of personality in the character of the Thomas Gradgrind as well. Father-son conflict is one of the main theme of the play, Death of a Salesman, and the family dynamics more or less revolves around this theme only. The strong father-son bond that existed between Billy and Biff and Willy. Flashback scene disintegrated upon the Biff's discovery of his father's Here I have made some mistakes. Sorry. It is at that point Biff's idealization of his father's ends. In a way, Biff describes the adultery of his father. And conclusion. Both the works gives the deeper understanding of the interplay between the factories that shape human society and the dreams that fuel the human spirit. Okay, these are my references, and thank you. Now you can ask me a question.
So Akash, my question is, how do Willy Loman's and Thomas Gradgrind's personalities, struggles, and aspirations differ or align?
Yes, their personality is a bit different, but they are governed by the same motive. If we see, as I mentioned earlier, that Thomas Gradgrind is governed by the personality of hard facts, and Willy Loman is governed by the American dream, and he wanted to achieve the American dream by means of being well liked and being popular. That only. He does not want to hard work, and he does not want to courage. He does not want courage, and they struggles as well. Willy Loman struggles financially, and other hand, Thomas Gradgrind struggles because of his philosophy of hard facts, and also his children are also struggling because of his education of hard facts. Okay.
Akash, my question is, consider the role of societal criticism in both novels. How does the Dickens and Miller use their stories to critique the social and cultural norm from their representative eras.
Okay. So both the works we can see they are trying to criticize the society. If you see the first work, the Hard Times, it's satirized the industrial society and its dehumanizing impact on the people and the human society. And we see the play of Arthur Miller. He also criticize the myth of American dream. He explores the myth of American dream. People does not want to do hard work and do hustle, but they only want to material wealth that provides America, which provides by American dream. And this way, how they both the works criticize the social and cultural norms. Okay, thank you for listening.
Hello everyone, I am BHUMIBA GOHIL and today we will explore the portrayal of women in hard times and Jude the Obscure. These are my academic information. So let us take a brief introduction of Hard Times. It is a novel by Charles Dickens. It is set in Coketown, which is a fictitious Victorian industrial town. And it tells the story of Gradgrind family who values facts above all else and how their lack of imagination impact their lives. So the novel explores the impact of utilitarianism, dehumanizing effects of industrialization, and struggles of working class. Now, for the introduction of Jude the Obscure, the other novel, it is by Thomas Hardy, and it tells the story of Jude Foley, who aspires to be a university student but gets distracted from his dream due to several circumstances. And this novel depicts the lives of individuals who are trapped by forces beyond their control. And we see the themes of higher education, class differences, religion, and marriage. So let us move on to the character analysis of Louisa Gradgrind. She is daughter of Thomas Gradgrind and she has received a factual education. And because of that, her emotional development was stunted. And she lacks emotional intelligence and she cannot really explain her emotions, and she does not have that profoundness of feelings, and she does not know herself, you can say. So this has affected her character development, and later in life she is trapped in a loveless marriage with Mr. Bounderby. She gets married to Mr. Bounderby because it would benefit her brother, not even herself. So here we see this, she is bound by duty, we can say. As Cortez says in his paper, Louisa is a puppet in man's hand. She is their victim. And people also categorize her as failed angel in the house. So let us see, angel in the house is this ideal of Victorian society that says that if a woman should be like this person who handles household affairs and she keeps the house happy, and if you have an angel in the house then you have like a good life. And Louisa Gradgrind is failed in this aspect because in the and we see a character arc is we see her redemption. We see that she starts getting expressing her feelings, she starts questioning her authorities, and she starts taking her life in her control. Then we have Sissy Jew. She is daughter of a circus performer and she is adopted by great-grand family. Sissy Ju possesses emotional intelligence and imagination, which is stark contrast to Louisa. Uh, she is resilient, optimistic, and and has influence on others. In the end, we see that she helps Louisa in gaining her own personality, in exploring herself, you can say. And we can also say that Sissy Jupe is kind of a foil character of Louisa. So, foil character is something that so they are similar in age and they live in the same house, but there is only one big difference, and that is that Sissy has imagination, and because of that, her life is so different from Louisa's. As Sohal further says, that Dickens, through this character, strikes a contrast between Sissy and Louisa and sets an example of ideal characteristic that a woman should possess during the Victorian era. So they are saying that women should be resilient and optimistic, and this was not very much seen in the Victorian time period. Now let us see Sue Bridehead, she's a character from Jude the Obscure, and she is intellectual, sensitive, independent woman who is struggling with her time period. We see that she has a modern thinking. She lives alone, she works herself and earns her living, and because of she does not really get trapped in this. She does not believe in the rules of marriage, you can say, and because of that, she is struggling with her time period and people are rejecting her. So we see that she suffers many tragic circumstances, and at the end there is a return to orthodox thinking. So after all this, in the end, when her children die and she is very much affected by it, and she takes a drastic decision to leave all her modern thinking, you can say, behind and go back to her marriage. And because of this, there is also the new woman conflict around her. Many critics and scholars call her the new woman, like this feminist icon of her time. And many also argue that that is not so because of the ending. That we can say in Louisa's we see development, and in Sue Bridehead's character arc we see the opposite of it. And as Japanese scholar Nagamori argues, that Sue is not presented as a new woman or even an imperfect one. Rather, she is a woman who attempts to resist the institution of marriage, but in the end conforms to it. She is an incarnation of a woman in the late 19th century who bridges the gap between the traditional Victorian woman and a woman of the next period. Then we have Arabella Dawn. She is an intelligent woman who manipulates social conventions to her advantage. And she has a knowledge of legal system, and she knows how to exploit the patriarchal system to benefit herself. We see this through her several marriages, and in all the situations, you can say, come out as a winner. Even in the end, when Jude is dying, she is already finding herself a new husband. And Nagamori further explores that her sexuality is overemphasized by the critics. So whenever somebody is talking about Arabella Dawn, they only emphasize the sexuality aspect of her, and they forget sometimes that she also represents how Victorian women ruthlessly conformed to and took advantage of social norms for their benefits. So to conclude, we saw four characters: Louisa Gradgrind, who is trapped in her class and society and bound by duty. We have Sissy Jupe, who balances her ideas and situations around her. We have Sue Bridehead, who is tormented for her modern thinking. And Arabella Dawn, who is thriving through cunning means. These are my references, and thank you. Now for any questions.
Bhumi, my question is that how is the institution of marriage employed as a vehicle for social criticism in both the works, Hard Times and Jude the Obscure?
You can say, okay, in Louisa's example, we see in Hard Times, we see marriage between unequal people, you can say. There is a vast difference in their age, and that is how, so that was very common in that Victorian society. So there we see social criticism. In Jude the Obscure, we see two examples of this: the marriage between Jude and Arabella, and Sue and Mr. Phillotson. both of them are in both of these marriages, one of the partner is at least unhappy, but still they cannot take divorce or anything, and if they do, they have to face a lot of societal rejection. So here we see this social criticism of marriage in both of these work.
So, only my question is, what are the contrasting attitudes and beliefs of Sue Bridehead and Arabella Dawn regarding their roles as women?
Okay, so Arabella, as I said, exploits this patriarchal system, and she knows that she gets married and she takes advantage of her husband, and that is how she exploits the relationship, you can say. Sue is much more intellectual person, and as we have seen that she is not much interested in the marriage idea. She's not very committed to the rules of marriage and all. So that is how we see the contrasting attitudes. And regarding the being a woman, so for Arabella, marriage and this traditional characteristic of women is very important, and that is not so much for Sue. She has her own personality and her identity, and she's much more interested in exploring that.
Hello everyone, I Dhatri Parmar, and today's my topic of presentation is Nature in Hard Times and Ecocritical Overview. Hello everyone, I Dhatri Parmar, and today's my topic of presentation is Nature in Hard Times and Ecocritical Overview. Hard Times is written by Charles Dickens, and the Industrial Revolution transformed Victorian London, separating people from both their natural surroundings and their emotional and imaginative inner world, as illustrated in Charles Dickens' Hard Times. And the initial chapters provides a different perspective on hard times by emphasizing passage describing the evolving nature setting in a Cocktown. So, first of all, what is ecocriticism? This term, ecocriticism, was coined by William Ruckretz in his work Literature and Ecology, an experiment and in ecocriticism, and afterwards Lawrence Bull was published his work, and then the foundation of eco-criticism get proper space in the time. And after that, while we are looking at the eco-criticism term, according to Marlin, that eco-criticism is an umbrella term for a range of critical approaches that explore a representation in literature or even in cultural forms of the relationship between human and non-human, largely from the perspective of the anxiety around humanity's a destructive impact on biosphere. So how the behaviors of, or how the lifestyle of humans are connected with nature, and how the relationship is works, that is reflected in the eco-criticism. While we are talking about particularly the hard times, then Dickens in Hard Times depicts the 19th century England's environmental and hygiene challenges, including pollution and fall odors in very first chapters. And the novel's legs of focus on plants and tree reflects their scarcity in city, that we cannot find the description of plants in city during the whole novel. So we can find the description of the industries and other things. Depicts the changing cityscape and diminishing imagination of resident in hard times. So we can find the description of the industries, the machines and chimneys and all the things, but not finding the description of nature. And he uses three things, a metaphor of showing, reaping and garnering to illustrate the transformation of the nature throughout the novel. While we are talking about the particularly text of the hard times, the quote is, I quote, "It was a town of unnatural red and black light painted face of savage. It was a town of machinery and tall chimneys, out of which interminable serpents and smoke trailed themselves forever and ever. Not good," unquote, unquote. So this quote, we can find that reflecting the darker side of industrialization with the metaphor of serpent. In the very next quote, we can find with the a description of monotonous things, and a metaphor of elephant is given to the reflection of the nature in and around. We are finding in the very first chapter of the One Thing Needful, chapter first. While we are talking about the pollution of river in Coketown, so basically the Coketown is a fictitious town, and the river is also similar to that. And this quote, I quote, "It had a black canal in it and a river that run parallel with smelling that," unquote. So this is reflecting that how river is polluting in Coketown, and Coketown's environment is characterized by pollution, including black water, ashy street, and poor visibility due to fog and gases. Due to these industries and other things are pollution which is there in the atmosphere, and particularly the river in Coketown is severely polluted, appearing purple, emphasizing the environmental degradation, which is the primary concern of eco-criticism, that they are justifying the nature, they are standing for the nature. And that is why this description which was done by the Dickens is showing that, and how this nature is connected with the characters such as Mr. Gradgrind and Mr. Bounderby, because they are also similar to this kind of a harshy atmosphere or this polluted atmosphere. They are putting emphasis upon fact, and that is how they both things are connected with it. Uniformity and emotionless society in Coketown. So the Harry Furnace in his article Hard Times and Eco-Critical Reading, talking about the Hard Times, Coketown's buildings are described as an identical and lacking uniqueness, creating a monotonous urban environment. So while we are looking at the modern society, there are only buildings and factories, and we are not finding the environment things are there, and that's what even Dickens are trying to depict. The Great Grand Resident mirrors the uniformity and city's architecture. Thomas Gradgrind and Josiah Bounderby by fostering emotional detachment and conformity. So similarly, like how the monotonous life of people are there, that is connected with the nature, because the nature are similarly polluted, and it cannot degraded by the time, and that is why the people of that society are passionless and emotionless. While we are connecting it with the present time, then Hard Times echoes today's issue of pollution and climate change. In one of the article from the Hindu, Niyati Parikh says that the polluted river in Coketown mirrors the modern water problem. And similarly, Gujarat has highest number of highly polluted river stretches in India. So even we can find the pollution of Sabarmati and even Ganga. So these rivers are connected with that pollution of the river. One of the book of Sunita Narain, Conflict of Interest, My Journey Through India's Green Movement, in which she reflects the idea about this green movement, and the book delves into her confrontation with major corporation and environmental issue of Tata Motors and Coca-Cola company. So how this company reflecting So, in the conclusion, in contemplating Dickens' concern, we see that environmental degradation, the loss of natural beauty, and the need for a connection to a nature are just as relevant today. Eco-criticism underscores literature's ongoing role in exploring the relationship between society and the environment. It emphasized the continued importance of literature in raising awareness and inspiring positive environmental action. So, similarly, with the connected with Dickens, even modern writers are emphasizing upon the nature and how nature's role are so much connected with human condition. And this literature is helping in developing the idea of or developing the awareness about the eco-criticism. Uh, Here are the references, and thank you. If you have any question, feel free to ask.
Dhatri, how does the eco-critical lens applied to hard times resonate with contemporary issue of industrialization and environmental degradation?
Okay, as we take example of that book, which was written by Sunita Narain, that even in a present time, this industrialization and modernization is going on, and this issue of environmental degradation we can find even in contemporary time. So, while we are connecting both the things of Dickens' hard times and this eco-critical lens, which with which we are looking at. So basically, the eco-criticism has three waves. And in first wave, they are focusing upon the how they are preserving the nature. In the second wave, they are focusing upon how the nature and the marginalized communities are connected with each other. So in contemporary time, how this marginalized community is also exploited due to this eco-criticism, because what the eco-criticism happening in the areas of jungles and basically nature. So who people are living in jungles and everything in forests, so they are even belonging from a marginality. So similarly, in present time we can find that this industrialization while we are looking at the eco-critical lens, that due to this industrialization, people are doing immigration and going to the town, and that's why the slums and all are getting too much developed, slums and all. So even environmental degradation, we can find that the area of city is now developing, that now we cannot find that much of greenery in and around, while we are talking particularly about the cities which are developed cities. So while we are looking at the eco-critical lens, through the eco-critical lens, the issue of industrialization is quite connected with the degradation of environment. So while we are getting too much developed in the industries, it has a negative impact upon the society, and it has negative impact upon people too. Okay.
Datri, do you think there should be more emphasis on nature in hard times?
Okay, so while we are looking at the hard times at the eco-critical point of view, there are description, but basically Dickens right for criticizing the fact and fancy. So he is totally giving his views upon fact and fancy, and he is criticizing the over factualness of the people. So there, while it is the term eco-criticism itself is developed in very later century. So while we are talking about Dickens time, so he is in a way trying to depict Victorian society and trying to criticize his society. So at that time it is convenient, and the nature's description, where we are looking at rereading of that text, at that time we can find the description of exploited nature. So the Dickens justify his themes by criticizing the Victorian's factual ideas. So of course the nature's description is quite enough for looking at this lens. Okay, thank you.
Good evening, everyone. Myself Hardi Vora. Today's my topic is Tamasha and Hard Times, a mirror of society. Here are my personal information, points to ponder, and let's start with introduction. Hard Times, a novel by Charles Dickens, published in serial from as Hard Times for These Times in the periodical Household Words from April to August 1854, and in book from later the same year. The novel is a bitter indictment of industrialization with its dehumanizing effect on workers and communities in mid-19th century England. Tamasha is a 2015 Indian coming of age romantic drama film written and directed by Imtiaz Ali and produced by Sajid Nadiawala. Tamasha was filmed in the Indian cities of Shimla, Delhi, Gurgaon, and Kolkata, with additional filming in Tokyo and Corsica. The film tells the story of character Ved Vardhan Shani, played by Ranbir Kapoor, in three stages as a 9-year-old child, a 19-year-old adolescent, and a 30 years old adult in a non-linear narrative. Social conditions in both the works. In Charles Dickens' novel Hard Times, the social condition of poverty is a prevailing theme that permeates the narrative and serves as a critic of the harsh realities faced by the working class during the Victorian era. The novel provides a stark portrayal of adverse effect of industrialization, economic inequality, and a rigid class system on the lives in the individuals living in poverty. Through vivid characterization, evocative settings, and thematic exploration, Dickens presents a compelling depiction of the social condition of poverty. One of the primary way in which the novel portrays the social condition of poverty is through its characters like Stephen Blackpool, a factory worker, and his wife Rachel exemplify the struggles and hardships faced by the working class. Stephen's lack of agency and constant poverty are highlighted as he is trapped in the cycle of labor and unable to escape his dire circumstances. His interactions with other characters, such as his abusive employer Bounderby and the morally corrupt Josiah Bounderby, further illuminate the oppressive nature of poetry. In Tamasha, directed by Imtiaz Ali, released in 2015, it explores the social condition of conformity in modern society. The film delves into how individuals often suppress their true selves to fit in a societal norms of expectations, which can leads to a sense of emptiness and lack of self-identity. The characters played by Ranbir Kapoor and Deepika Padukone in the movie both the characters are grapples with these issues as they seek authenticity of the self-discovery, making it a thought-provoking commentary on the pressure on the confronting of social norms. Character analysis. Hard Times, Louisa Gradgrind, raised in strict utilitarian household, daughter of Thomas Gradgrind, a firm believer I am rationality and fact. Initially, she lacks emotional development and repressed marries Jose Bounderby to fulfill her father's wishes, struggles with the emotional void in her life, and an unhappy marriage, represents the negative effects of a purely rational upbringing.
experiences personal growth and seeks emotional fulfillment. In Tamasha, from Tamasha, the character of Ved is an introvert and conformist in his daily life, work in a cooperative job, conforming the societal expectations, yearns from creativity and spontaneity in his life, creates a persona named Dom during vacation and Corsica. Through the persona, he explored his true self and artistic side, falls in love with Tara, but their relationship faces challenges, embodies the idea of breaking free from societal norms to find one's true identity. There are three major themes we can find in Hard Times and Tamasha. Identity. In hard times, characters are struggle with their true selves in a utilitarian industrial society, and in Tamasha, the protagonist Ved seeks to discover his true self by breaking free from societal roles. Conformity. Society pressures individuals to conform to the rigid norms. Character like Bandarbi conform to societal expectation, but it leads to unhappiness. Where in Tamasha, Ved initially conforms the societal expectations, but he is unhappy. The movie encouraged breaking free from the mold and pursuing one's passion. Societal expectations. In hard times, characters grapples with the consequences of societal expectations on their lives. In Tamasha, the film emphasized the importance of pursuing one's passion and dreams. In a conclusion, both the works provide insightful reflection on society. Tamasha delves into complexity of personal identity and societal expectations, emphasizing the need for individuals to break free from social norms and discover their true selves. In contrast, Hard Times serves a scathing critic of the dehumanizing effects of industrialization and utilitarianism in 19th century England. Both works highlighted the significance of individuality and the impact of social pressure and the consequences of conformity. Here are my references, and thank you. If you have any question, feel free to ask.
Okay, so Hardi, how does the film Tamasha portray the struggles of the main characters in their quest for authenticity and self-discovery?
In Tamasha, Tamasha portrays struggle. The main character of Tamasha, Ved, is portrays a struggle of their quest and authenticity and self-discovery, because in the movie, Ved's three stage of his age describes in the movie. That's why he was not able to understand his main identity. That's why the struggle of main character and the quest.
Hati, my question is for you. What do Tamasha and Hard Times teach us about balancing personal identity with societal conformity across different time periods?
Tamasha and Hard Time teach us about balancing personal identity with social conformity. Uh, I'm sorry, I don't know about this. I'm sorry. Thank you.
So hello everyone, good evening all of you. I'm Hiral Vaita, and today I'm dealing with the fact versus fancy in hard times. So here are some personal information of mine, and it's points to ponder which I'm going to discuss two words. It's introduction of hard times. Hard times, which was written by Charles Dickens, and the setting was the Coketown of the 19th century, and the characters which represent the class of higher class and the lower class or working class, which was Great Grant and Stephen Blackpool. So the critic of the hard in the hard times, topics based on utilitarianism, industrialization, neglecting individual well-being, and the themes of like social injustice, imagination, call for a more human society, and the commentary which based in like 19th century's challenges, compassion and empathy and advocacy, focus on hard times societal issues and intensify compassion and empathies. So let's focus on facts and fantasy. So the fact more make weightage on a character of Thomas Gradgrind, which who was a very educational and philosophical character, and he was like impact on his own. Uh, he was the reason of the very bad impact on his own children's, and his like mantra of that like facts sir, nothing but facts. His mantra of these words, he more focused on facts, and he like more facts, nothing like imagination and reality. So let's discuss fanciness. So the Josiah Bounderby was focused on fanciness. He was a self-made man. He always like told everyone that I am the self-made man. I am the ran away from that house and all the past of the circumstances. He was a very arrogant and the monster of the novel, which is discussed in the self-made man in this article. And he was a like boasting natured person. So let's discuss education in hard times. So the CC Jupe and contrasting education. Cecilia Jupe was also study with the another children, but she belongs from a very well mannered family, and also the another children are also from belong from the that school, but don't have that much imagination power or that much education. So it's focused on Coketown schools also, and to in today's time also that we have that particular topics like this. And critic of education, Charles Dickens focused on this education topic, the dehumanizing effects, like upper class people thinks that the lower class or working class people does not exist for us, and they are just like galika kida type. And let's discuss conclusion. Hard Times by Charles Dickens, highlighting the 19th century. Highlighting the 19th century societal challenges and exposing the dehumanizing effects in utilitarianism and the industrialization. The novel champions and compassion and the empathy as vital antidotes to the neglect and individual well-being. Through the character like Josiah Bounderby and Cecilia Jupe, it underscored the value of balance and human approach to life. The critic of the educational system in hard times advocates for a society that embraces empathy and imagination. Here are some resources of my presentation, and thank you. If you have any question, feel free to ask.
Hiral, my question is for you. How does the theme of fact and fancy in hard times connect to the concept of post-truth in today's world?
So, mm, so the basically the concept of post-truth and the concept of fact and fancy that they both are like common focused topic, and they both like focused on the same topic, like don't focus on that more materialism, but in the today's time, like we focused on emotions and the facts both. So that's why it connects the post-truth world and today's world, and with the fact versus fancy.
Hiral, according to you, whose education was better, CC's you or Louis?
Okay, so according to me, Cecilia Jube's education was more better than the Louisa, because Cecilia Jube's education supports the more imagination and facts both. But according to Cecilia Jube's like more imaginative and like more both balanced education, and but the Louisa's education focused on like only on the truth or like only on the fact. So here are the presentation. Thank you.
Last one. Akshay and we'll ask questions to her. Please, please,
Hello everyone, I'm DIHORA. Today I'm going to deal with the topic the importance of being earnest as a comedy of manners. Here my personal information. Here point of the topic about Oscar Wilde. Uh, he was born in 16 October 1854, Dublin, and Ireland. Died in 13 November 30 November 1900, Paris, France. Uh, he was a novelist, journalist, and playwright. Famous works include The Picture of Dorian Gray, The Importance of Being Earnest, and The Ballad of Reading Goal. What is comedy of manners? Manners refer to the costume, behaviors, and social norms of a particular class or society. This genre of comedy is known for its sharp wit and clever dialogue. It's a way for writers to comment on societal norms and behavior, often with a humorous twist. Think of it as a mirror reflecting society's manners with a smile. About play. The play first performed in 1895 and published in 1899. The subtitle of the play, a trivial comedy for serious people. The play centers on the questions of identity, love, marriage, and money. It is a satire on the society that gives priority to appearance and surfaces. The title, different meaning of the word earnest. Here, the two meaning of earnest. The first, serious, earnest as in serious or sincere, and the second, earnest as a proper name. The title also suggests that there is a deeper meaning to being earnest. Social hypocrisy. In the play Social Hypocrisy, Lady Bracknell judged people based on their social status and family background, and another character, the young and innocent Sissy, went to marry a name Earnest because she believes that all good men are named Earnest. So she went to marry a name Earnest. Social hypocrisy is still a problem in our society because often we make excuses for our bad behavior, and that's all. Social hypocrisy is the character's use of double standard. A double standard in the play, Jake and Elgarner, they live in a double standard. The characters Jake and Elgarner create a fictitious identity to lead double lives in the city while maintaining respectability in the countryside. The play highlights the superficial nature of social norms and the pursuit of marriage for a social standing rather than love. Language and dialogue, use of paradox, epigram, and wordplay. For example, Lady Bracknell says, to lose one parent may be regarded as a misfortune. To lose both looks like a carelessness, is both funny and thought provoking. Wilde also use humor to satirize the artificiality and hypocrisy of Victorian society. For example, Algernon's claim that Bunburyism is the key to absolute irresponsible freedom is a humorous commentary on the importance of social status and reputation in Victorian England. This is a satire on a Victorian society. Every word and each dialogue and all characters of the play satirize the Victorian society in the play, satirize the rigid cultural norms of the Victorian era. The concept of Victorian marriage is confined within the walls of families and wealth. Wilde's basic purpose in writing the play was to expose and prove as a shame the norms and values of the Victorian aristocracy. Here my reference. Thank you. If you have any question, then you can ask.
Chaya, according to you, what is the significance of the name Earnest?
The significance of the name Earnest, because in the play, Jake use Earnest name because he went to live her life private, and we also use the name double standard name because feel because like leave our responsibilities and break our rules like that.
So Chaya, my question is for you that what is the resolution of the play and how the characters' identity is revealed?
Character's identity reveal. Characters' identity revealed through when they all come together in Cecily's house at that.
Okay, you can sit. Okay. Okay, fine. So that was the last one. Oh, why you said you take 2 hours to reach here? You are not staying here in Bhavnagar? Huh? That you, when I asked, you said yes, you are living here. No? So hostel is not nearby. ये hostel ने बदले घरे हुए गया था. Okay, sit down. Yeah. Okay, so by and large, good presentations. Akshay was asked this question about Eliot. So you talked about George Eliot, and I think the questions are about T.S. Eliot. Contemporary, are they contemporary or not? So George Eliot is contemporary, but T.S. Eliot is not. T.S. Eliot is much junior to Thomas Hardy. Right? And there was one question about criticism. Hardy is not a critic. Eliot is both a creative writer as well as critic. So that question also is not appropriate in that if it is T.S. Eliot. In your slides, you refer to George Eliot, not to T.S. Eliot as a contemporary. Akshay's presentation. Darshan did well on few Bridehead. Jagruti also presented well. Childhood and hard times. Kavita's also was good. Class differences. Rahul also presented well on education and hard times. You might have brought about these three things that we discussed. 3H idea about Montessori education system and Mahatma Gandhi's education, where we see Lok Bharti, Sanosra, and they work on this education of head, heart, and hand that you might have brought also in the discussion. Akash also presented well. It was good that you located both the text in historical context. That is very good. So one is America, another is Britain. It is very important to locate the geographical location, the historical location also of both the texts. Death of a Salesman and Hard Times. And good comparison was presented. Bhumiba also did well with the comparison of two texts, Hard Times and Jude the Obscure, women in both. DHATRI also presented well. In DHATRI's presentation, there was one very good source which was referred, which can be useful to others also to read. This was, I think, MA dissertation submitted in one of the universities. This is final thesis of master's degree. And University of Venezia, it says. So it is quite interesting work. And what we can learn from this is that what to pick up when we refer to good resource. What ideas to pick up from the resource, article, thesis, whatever we reach to. That is another important thing and very challenging also. In the introductory part, this thesis tries to locate this very idea about nature in criticism. How do we see nature? So the first important critic cited is Amitav Ghosh. Amitav Ghosh, The Great Derangement. This work, first of all, is citing. And quite interestingly, it is connected with Dickens' work. Dickens speaks about imagination and nature. He wants to see these two things together. Circus, imagination, fact, fancy, and nature and urbanization or industrialization. So this book also speaks about that, where Amitav Ghosh will refer to this work in semester 4, when we will discuss one novel by Amitav Ghosh, Gun Island. At that time, we will come back to this text also. Where he also stresses the importance of imagination, telling stories about climate change. So it is good to see that in that space, this entire debate is located. That is something worth learning from this. And from there, it comes down to talk about another very important critic, that is Raymond Williams. In the essay, Ideas of Nature, Raymond Williams deals with this idea. And Raymond Williams is a critic of cultural studies. And he discusses contemporaneity and other things. So how he brings this idea about the difference between nature and human. In previous time, human was a part of nature. When human versus nature started as a difference, as a binary, how it started happening, that is because we are also made up of the same dhatu, same mahabhut, same 5 elements about which nature is made of. So we are a part of nature. So why and from where this difference of nature versus human, this versus came inside. That is very important. That is discussed here, and then it tries to say that how this debate about nature and industry or human as a disruptor can be seen. Then comes to Martin Heidegger in the essay, The Question Concerning Technology. The third, Tisra Padav of this article, in introduction, the entire debate is located. So first Amitav Ghosh, then Raymond Williams, then Martin Heidegger, picking up the ideas from there is located, and then comes to Cambridge Dictionary, meaning of this. So quite interestingly, the entire thing. So if you can pick up this way the idea and learn this methodology of doing the thing, then your presentations, assignments, dissertation, PhD thesis, everything will be easy cake, easy way to have the things done. If you adopt this method of thinking and doing and using resources. કઈ રીતે એમણે રિસોર્સનો ઉપયોગ કર્યો છે, અમિતાવ ઘોષ, રેમન્ડ વિલિયમ્સ, માર્ટિન હેઇડેગર, કેમ્બ્રિજ ડિક્શનરી, એ બહુ મહત્વનું છે કે કઈ રીતે આપણે એનો ઉપયોગ એપ્રોપ્રિએટલી આપણી ગોઠવણી મુજબ એને મૂકી શકીએ. So that is good to learn from this. So others can also refer this, and if you can remember up till semester 4, then this will be useful to you in your dissertation writing also. Semester 4 you will have dissertation writing. At that time you will be hungry to know how to write good dissertation. અત્યારે આ બધું ઉપરથી જાતું હોય, તો ત્યારે ભૂખ્યા થયા હોય આપણે, જ્યારે ભૂખ લાગે ત્યારે કોઈ પીરસે તો આપણને બહુ મીઠું લાગે. અત્યારે આ થાળી બહાર વયું જતું એવું લાગે, અત્યારે હું પીરસતો હોઉં તો એ લોટાની બહાર ઢોળાઈ જતું હોય એવું હોય. તો ત્યારે યાદ આવી જાય ચોથા સેમેસ્ટરમાં, તો બહુ કામ લાગે કે this is how you are supposed to work out the thing. કોઈ જગ્યાએ કેલેન્ડરમાં એ મેમરીમાં મૂકી દો કે ડેઝર્ટેશન આવે ત્યારે આર્ટિકલ વાંચવાનો છે, એટલે કેલેન્ડર તમને ત્યારે સેમેસ્ટર 4 માં આવો ત્યારે મેમરી આવે, રિમાઇન્ડર આપે તો કામ લાગી શકે. So then it will be good to see this reference. Hardi presented well, but was not able to answer things properly. So you're not thought deeply. If you think deeply, then there is no concern about answering any question that comes in and around this. It is also presented well. Slides are very well prepared. Good artistic slide and this all animation pictures that you have taken. Static pictures were quite good also, appropriate also. But you are still citing from Amazon, which is a book selling site, which we told that you are not supposed to cite from book selling sites, that you have to remove. And last one was by CHAYA. So have a courage and you have to face the things. આપણે પીજી માં છે જે સ્કૂલમાં આવું કરીએ તો ચાલે કે ડરીને ભાગી જાય લોકો કેજી માં બાળકોને મૂકવા જે રડ્યા કરે પણ રડવા દે ટેવ પાડવાની છે એટલે હવે તો આપણે પીજી માં છીએ એટલે you have to face the things and you have to be stronger by doing all these things. બધું કરવાથી બધાને આપણે અંદરથી કેટલા મજબૂત થતા જતા હોય આ પ્રેઝન્ટેશનમાં આમ દેખીતી રીતે ખ્યાલ ના આવતો હોય. But we take lots of stress. When we take lots of stress, we strengthen our capabilities to manage stress, our mental capacities. Everything is improving slowly and steadily, and we are not much aware about those differences that happen within us. So if you study rigorously, either in schools, colleges, or universities, there is a huge difference between you and the other people who just pass, who just get mark sheets and degrees, but they don't work. Society normally see what are the marks, but they cannot measure how you grow, how you are improving within yourself. That is something that is invisible. So it is difficult for the society to see that how this kind of things might happen or how people might be growing when they work, when they take stress. When we take lots of stress, we grow within, and that is a very important part of education. It's not only about passing exams and taking mark sheets and degrees. Okay, so with this we end our session here. Tomorrow will be the last day of our presentation.